that should be us on and popping. Yep, okay, looks good over here. Okay, whale. Welcome to Pieces of Fat Paints. It is Friday, the last Friday of 2023, and then we move on to 2024, which is, I'm hoping, a big year for me. I had a real rough 2023. I'm sure a lot of other people did, but I had to make a whole career change, and that's why we're here now. Is is because of that. Because I was a chef for a long time, and now I'm here doing this. People say I'm very personable and I'm entertaining and I'm good at teaching things. So they told me to try a YouTube channel. So here we are again. I go through this every now and again on these live streams. I don't do this every time because it takes a long time to explain it all. But we had a bunch of new subscribers overnight. I think it was almost 100 subscribers overnight, which was like insane for me. A lot of them are people I already know, so they kind of know my situation. But some of you folks maybe aren't, and that's cool. I totally am excited about all the new people that might be coming through to watch this show. I started a little bit early because I know I was going to have to do all this talking, so that way everybody kind of knows. And then we got to wrap up like right at 2 because I got to go take my car down to the shop and put some brakes on it because the brakes are bad. Well, I mean, brakes just go. They just wear out. You know how it goes. If you own a car, you know what happens. The brakes, they just kind of eventually wear out, the pads and stuff like that. And you got to change the pads and the rotors on a fairly regular basis, it seems like. Especially out where I live. I live in a bunch of hills. So it seems like my brakes and my tires are always going out on me. Anyway, that's all fun. I think we're almost time. I'll give people just a few more moments to see if anybody's going to show up for live stuff. Looks like we've already got a vote on our poll, which is awesome. I put up a poll to see which way you guys wanted to go next, because we're kind of getting towards the end of Princess Bride. Which is unfortunate because I've really had a great time painting these miniatures. It's ridiculous from a game that I got as a Christmas present. And, I posted it on some of the Facebook group that's for these things, and everybody went nuts. So if you did get here from the Facebook group, hello, and from the Inconceivable Princess Bride posting group, those guys are pretty cool guys. So appreciate it. Anybody who's jumped over here, definitely take a look at our poll. Help me figure out what I'm going to do next, because sometimes I have so much stuff I can do that I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can narrow it down to 2 things, and then after that, I kind of, I don't, I don't know. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I do have something that I promised a friend of mine that I was talking to yesterday. If we get to 500, when we get to 500, I'm going to build this guy right there. But I'm gonna kit bash it. I want to kit bash this into an orc car for 40k. I want to make it into an orc dragster, so that it can be a little crazy. But we're going to get to that when we get to 500. No, just the one. Nah. We get to 1,000, I'll be freaking out. I don't know what I'll do at that. But I feel like we got all these cool milestones. So when we hit these milestones, then I know what I'm gonna do. 100 seemed like it was too easy of a milestone to do a celebration for. So we're just gonna do a little hooray, 100 subscribers, and then we're gonna get to work because I need to do that. All right. First things first. Let's talk about this color. We're bringing in this color today. This is Permanent Magenta by Windsor & Newton. I don't know that I put it in the doobly-doo. I think I forgot. I will add it to the doobly-doo here shortly. If not, I do apologize. But it's another Windsor & Newton acrylic. Everybody knows how I like those. And that one's going to be digging in my fingers. So that's why I keep this handy little set of channel locks, and we can just go ahead and grab that sucker and pop that lid right off for us. My hands are getting older, and so I try not to put too much stress on it because I don't know. as a chef, I worked with my hands for a lot, and I burnt them, and they got injured so many times that I think I've gotten down to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to really hurt it. I mean, you might get down. I think it's about time to re-wet our palette. I'm gonna check it. This little sponge right here, that's still pretty wet. Is what is keeping this one all wet. I think I'm gonna put just a little bit in, especially since it might be set in the weekend, you know, and just to kind of keep this wet, because we want to keep the sponge staying wet as best as possible, because it'll keep the paints from drying out on the tops, and you know, well, maybe you don't know. Well, now you do know, which is awesome, and that's pretty much why you're here. Well, some of you probably here just to have a good time and laugh with me, because God, I love laughing at myself. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. And I love laughing. I love laughing in general. It's the way you should live your life, really, honestly, guys. If you don't laugh enough right now, totally start laughing more, because you really should. Life's a funny thing. All right, so I'll put a little bit of magenta down on our palette. Our palette's getting pretty full here. I have another project I'm working on for my son, so like I've got other colors down here that aren't on our project. But it's golly. Sometimes I get so many paints going at once. Sometimes it's kind of wild. All right. So I was looking at this guy, and like we said yesterday, this is that purple we put on there before is a little bit too blue. It's going to work great for our undertone, but it's not going to work out so well for the tops of it. In the movie, the doublet we're doing is, or whatever that piece of garment is called, it's more of a magenta, which is why I pulled this magenta out. It's purple, but it's not. It's got more red than blue. And purple does that, you know. So I took that darker blue or purple and put it underneath, and we're gonna put this magenta over top of it, and hopefully we can get the right color to come out. We shall see. We shall see. So I'm gonna come in here with this 3/0. That's just the size of the brush. If you're not familiar with brushes, that is okay. This is like it's small, but it's not too small. I got a lot of them smaller than this. We want to use these brushes because it's going to give us, or this size brush, because it is going to give us a lot more medium on the brush itself, and by medium I mean the paint, so that we can work on getting more pigment on there. And yeah, this is a little bit more like what he's wearing, that magenta. A little on his hands. Which we're still in the stage of these base coats on this, so we will come back and fix up any of our little errors. That is something we will do. And I still haven't decided. I gotta look back at the source material again and see if that collar of his shirt is supposed to be a different color. I feel like it's probably whatever color this shirt is, which right now we've got it set as white, and we'll check that source material in a little bit. But that Windsor violet dried on here almost black. You can barely tell it's purple, even here where I can see it. I know you can't really see it very well on camera, but even from where I'm sitting, you can't see it very well. And don't let it pool like that. If you notice, it just pulled out a little bit of that excess paint. I'll let it dry for a second and then try to come back and tighten up my brush strokes. Don't let it sit for too long before you come back and do this. One of the dangers of talking while I'm working is I can get distracted. So you don't want it to pool up. We want to have a nice smooth coat. Keep your strokes going in the same directions. And I think I've said before, like, you can sometimes, putting it on there, you can't really have the right direction for it. So a lot of times it's easier just to get the pigment on and then fix your brush strokes. Like you could do this, right? And then you can come back and just tighten up your brush stroke. And it'll help keep it from drying in clumps. And that's, I think, a lot of your beginning painters, they that happens to them a lot, that things will pool because they're trying to get that pigment on there so fast. Because they're like, oh, I should just have to do these 1 or 2 thin coats and I'm done. And yes, for some paints, that is very true. You only need 1 or 2 coats. Some paints are different. Some paints are super, the actual dyes in them and the medium that you're using to make the paint, they can vary drastically, and so they'll sit different depending on what they're made out of. So when you get really good at painting, you start noticing what things and which types of pigments seem to do that the most. We were talking about yellows and whites the other day, or almost every day it seems like. And yellow and white, they really are notoriously hard to get the color of them out. Yeah, that magenta over that is going to look great. Once that dries out, that should look real good. It's not going to be exactly like it is in the movie, but I don't think I have any of them exactly like they are in the movie. They're close enough to where you could definitely tell what they're supposed to be, though. And that is the idea. I like to get things pretty dang close to official stuff. But I also like to have just a little bit of, my own little flair of it. Like, one of the things we can vote in the poll is Tyranids, and Tyranids are a space bug from 40K. They're very interesting. And I am doing a color scheme that is a take on a official color scheme for a hive fleet called Leviathan, because I got the Leviathan box set. You can see its little poster sometimes, or the little box or something around here every now and again when the cameras hit them right, or on some of my other media, you can see the box set I got. So I started painting him up Leviathan, but my Leviathan doesn't look like the standard Leviathan. Because I had to put my own little spin on it. Because I like putting my own little spin on things. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people who keep things exactly the way it looks aren't doing it great, and that their stuff is, any different than mine. It's just, differences of opinion. And some people want to look exactly like it does on the 10. That's the way they like it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. I think that's what makes art so fun. You get to kind of do whatever you want. If it's a logo or something, you want to get the logo going. And you make it look exactly right, because it's a logo. And you need the company's logo to work for them. So if you don't get that right, of course, that's not cool. That's not going to work. But, something like this guy. You have a little bit of artistic license, so to speak. Leading me back to what I said before. One of these days, that chat's going to be blowing up. I know it. I'm trying to train myself now to keep looking at it, so I can keep up when it does start going, because I know it's gonna. Just a matter of time. We're still a pretty new channel in the realm of channels. Or at least as far as like this part of my channel. Before, I used it to store songs for my then girlfriend, now wife. So that was a lot of fun. But that was back when it wasn't pieces at Payne, so it was just my little personal YouTube thing. So I turned it into this because I had to retire from chef life, which I miss terribly sometimes. And sometimes I don't miss it all. And the further and further away from it I get, the more I miss the people I worked with. And that's what I really miss. Oh yeah, that's looking a whole lot better, huh? Definitely. That is what we want to see. Beautiful. One more red. It's going to have that gray little standout. Okay, we're going to let that hang out for a second. We're going to move on to one of the other ones and kind of get to work on them. Poor hands are a little tight. I hope you got yourself a beverage. If not, go get one. Because you should always have something to drink while you're painting. Although you should be careful where you put it, or else you could knock it over, like Corey Feldman in Gremlins, and then you can get a mogwai wet, and you're in big trouble. And if you don't know what a mogwai is, you should watch Gremlins. All right, Count Rugen's looking pretty good. We were going to go black on his boots, black on his gloves. His gloves are wild. Got to make sure. Let's tighten up this yellow ochre just a little bit for that glove. Paint miniatures is pretty easy and simple if you make it easy and simple. And you can make it super complicated if you want. But that's up to you. You get to make that choice. And some things I think are better to be... They're better when they're more complicated, and some things are better when they're less complicated. I don't expect everybody to paint just like I do on my channel, you know. I wonder if Bob Ross ever thought that too. I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure he was always, you paint the way you want to. I guess that is like me. Sometimes I think we all say one word when we mean another. I always find that really interesting. And it's not like, oh, what do we used to call it? We used to call it a Freudian slips and stuff, but I don't think it's that. I think sometimes we literally just short circuit, and the word that is the opposite of what we mean comes right out of our mouth. Like, wait a minute, that's weird. And again, we're just touching. I got the one little stray bristle on hair on that bristle brush. There we go. You start seeing that where, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you start seeing where you have like one little bristle popping up. Just get that thing wet again and spin it out on some paper towel and get your point back together. Don't keep painting like that. It'll tear up your brush. A little tip. I mean, you can finish up a little tiny space or whatever paint you have on there, but don't continue to just keep going at it, is what I mean. Well, that's fun. We got a vote in the poll. Oh, it said, oh, disconnected, reconnected. I don't have the greatest internet way out here in the country, so, you know, come back through. Luckily, we were still waiting to do washes. Oh, that hurts. I also started this channel as kind of for, I don't know, posterity. I mean, you get to a point where you realize You know, of course, we're having a rough day now that I have a whole bunch more subscribers. So, yeah, because it can't ever be. You can't ever have good wins 2 days in a row, right? On the back side of it, to watch me live anyway. I've noticed from watching my little ticker thing that most people catch this show after I do it, which is totally cool. I think that's awesome. I don't care. I don't care when you watch it. You watch it whenever, however many times you want. Everything is fine now. I had to reset my internet, which is, yeah, no, that's not fun. Nobody wants to have to do that. I'm definitely going to have to check on the internet and see if we can't get that thing figured out, because it is rough. That's one of the disadvantages to living all the way out in the country, is that we you know, internet reception is just not very great. So sometimes we get dropped, and that's okay. We're just gonna be fine. We'll figure this out. Okay, what are we doing? We were painting Count Rugen. We were checking out all his little details, making sure we got it all right. Go ahead and hit this sword case up one more time. And this, although it looks like that magenta, when you put it on like this is actually a darker red, more like a maroon. Okay, and I believe he had the fancy hilted sword that he stole from Inigo Montoya's father, because he's kind of a booty head. I can say that. I think we can say that, right? If you know me in person, you know how hard it is for me to not be like cussing like a sailor, because I was a chef, so I learned to work in kitchens where everybody just kind of cusses as a, you know, a language. It used to be our love language in the kitchen. We just cuss at each other. I don't know. It was weird. All right. Let me get that pommel. A little bit of that brass on there too. Probably silver on his belt buckle and stuff. I don't actually know what it is. I'm just guessing at this point, but I want to put some silver on here because I think the silver is going to really help. Silver is another one of those things like white that kind of doesn't really, white and yellow, it doesn't really like to show up the first time you put that on there. So we're just putting down that first coat, and we're going to come back later and mess with it. We need to switch brushes. We're going to drop down to a 5/0, which is the smallest one I currently have out here. They do make them smaller than this, but well, I'm glad I got everything working. Now we have 3 people watching. For those of you who missed, or for those of you who were here earlier, you saw the insanity that was the internet malfunction. I think I was off for like 3 minutes. Which sucks. Okay, now again, we're going to come back and hit this up with a little dollop of black right there on the edge of it. We want to really be as careful as possible. We're going to have a little overmark. That's okay. But if we're going to try, let's try to keep the overmark inside that section there. Because then when we come back and fix it, it's a whole lot easier. If you spill over out onto the rest of the belt, it's harder to fix that. But with this, when it's like, we're just gonna come back and fix the box on the inside. So if we can manage our overflow on a little tiny guy, it's hard to do. If you can manage which way you overflow, then it looks legit. I don't know, up to four viewers, awesome. Take a chance to vote in the poll. We have a poll on the comments. Is what to do next. We're gonna be done with Princess Bride here shortly, so we got maybe 1 or 2 more sessions. Alright, almost got that buckle done here. Just another little tippy tap of black right there. That should take care of our buckle pretty good. Okay. Of course, you know, the camera always has so much trouble focusing in. I might have to get a better camera. I got a list. I obsess over strange things, and one of them is definitely the camera. But yeah, so that buckle's looking nice. He's looking like he is ready for washes, so that we can. Hold on, I say that. There's this little. All right, I think we got rid of it now. Well, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to set him aside. We'll come back to him a little bit later. Let's take a look at Buttercup. How much time we got left? Oh yeah, we got plenty of time. Alright, so we were to this level yesterday. We're definitely going to come back and touch her hair up and touch her flesh up. And we're probably going to need to go with just a little bit more crimson. There's a couple places where paint just... either I missed it or it didn't take or both. So I'm going to start off with this red today, and we're going to get all the red in that we want. And don't worry about down here at the bottom. We can always come back and change that paint scheme down there. We've still got to do all the bases for all of them anyway. Which we might go straight to that after I put this next coat of red on here. We might base our 3 circus performers, because my lovely wife Kristen had such a great idea. I think we're going to go with it. I think it's a pretty solid one. What we're going to do is we're going to bring back the original colors of the bases. Probably, I'm thinking on the rings. We'll make this a nice flat black, and then I'm going to put I'm going to dye into these letters here where their colors are. And I'll probably do that with whatever their color is supposed to be. That way it kind of matches the board game a little bit. Hopefully we can do some of that. It'll really help tie it back into where it came from, you know, which is fun. And like we were talking about earlier in the broadcast, you know, it's I like to do an interpretation of stuff. I don't like to do it straight up, but definitely want to give that little bit of homage on this just for the sake of the way the game goes. I don't know that your color necessarily is going to mean anything in the rules of the game, but it would be fun to bring that back up so that anybody who maybe owns the game and happens to see it, online or whatever, they're like, oh wow, that's really cool, and it'll make it super recognizable. And they'll be like, oh man, yeah, that's my piece. I know those pieces. I know what they look like. And again, you can get that paint on there however you want, but once you kind of get it on there, tighten up those brush strokes, bring it down in unison, smooth it out. That way your paint layers will stay more even that way, if you can keep your brush strokes in the same direction. Now there is plenty of times you're not going to be able to do that, so that is definitely that is how that goes. Sometimes I have several brushes that are, just old cheap junk brushes. Sometimes the only way you can get paint somewhere is just to jam a brush in there and swirl it around until the paint sticks. Not the best way to paint miniatures, FYI. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Not much you can do about that. Okay. Keep giving it just a little bit of red. I'm really trying to, as I'm going, I'm trying to make sure I'll let some of those shadows do their own jobs, because it's hard enough to shadow red properly anyway. you almost like end up coming back on it with pink. And I don't want her to look too dirty. Like I'll kind of cheat a little bit, and I'll pull those shadows out with a bunch of dirty wash and some of those little tricks like that. But on this one, I feel like we don't want her too dirty. Same thing with Humperdinck. That's a little bit why we're kind of coming up on his in more of a layer form, is to kind of keep that up. They're royalty, so they're not going to look dirty like the poor. Yeah, just trying to make sure we've got that pigment even out and into all the places. We don't want any surprises when we go to do the wash. So just doing a thorough job of your base coating. Like I said, I'm doing these 2 thin coats as a base coat, and then I'll come back and I'm going to do all my wash work and my highlighting. And the key to get that thin coat is that brush stroke. Not having too much stuff on your brush is a big deal, but a lot of it just comes down to keeping that brush stroke going the right direction. Again, we're going to fix that base. Don't worry about if you overstroke into the base, that's okay. And you see how I'm keeping all those brush strokes coming up with her dress. And then sometimes, if I'm starting up here at the top, I'm going to try to bring them down with her dress. But I'm going up or down. Not in a circle. No wax on, wax off, Danielson. For those of you old Karate Kid fans, that was a fun joke. I don't think I have enough people moving around on here to look at my my average age yet. I don't know. Analytics on YouTube is a strange beast. It seems like every other day I get some sort of new thing they're telling me it's doing. I need to clean this brush out too, because we're getting up into the full. So you don't want to get into your full. That's the metal part on your brush. You start getting paint into there too much, and it can start to damage your bristles and how they're sitting in there, and there's lots of things it can do. So you really want to, if you start noticing you're getting up into the full, stop, get your brush rinsed out real good, and then just come back to what you're doing. But if you want to keep brushes in good shape for long periods of time, that's the secret. All about that full control. That's funny. Maybe it's only funny to me as an artist, or a painter. Because that's the thing about art too. Like, there's so many different types of art. I didn't start off as a painter. I was originally my favorite way of making art was oil pastels. And before that, it was regular pastels. Soft pastels, chalk. And then I got really good with oils, and I really liked those. And then I've gotten better and better at miniature painting. So, I decided that that's what we're going to do. We're going to paint stuff on YouTube. So otherwise, I just sit around here listening to kids talk about, the things kids talk about. Or I sit around here by myself, doing nothing. And now I do this, which is so much more fun. And as we get more people coming in, then we can all have fun together. Excited to hear about people and what they think about our little show. I'm sure I'm sure I will get better and better and better at this stuff. That is my goal. Watch several different YouTubers at various different, you know, types of YouTube, and I really admire everybody who does this. This is a very difficult thing to do. YouTubing is not as easy as it seems when you talk about the idea. You know, the discussion of it is very different than the execution. So I think I learn something new about it every day, which is what you really want to do. You know, try to learn something new about whatever you're interested in. You want to try to learn something new about it every day or so. There is a plateau there. You know, there's always a place where it's going to get too far. You get too far in, and then you know too much, and then the government comes for you. No, not really. That is a joke. The government doesn't really come for you, CIA agents that are listening to me right now. I don't believe that. No need to come storm my house. I'm such a goofball. But I have a good time. And I'm trying to share my good times with everybody. Sometimes whether they want me to or not. Alrighty. Oh, that sounds like my oldest son is stirring from his slumber. Teenagers sure can sleep a lot. I'm pretty sure I did that too when I was sleeping. Or when I was a teenager. I did a lot of sleeping. Although I don't remember. Isn't it weird how you block that stuff out when you get older? Okay. Let's see what time I got. What time we got? Because I gotta get going like right at 2, so that I can get over to the place that repairs my stuffs. Okay, so we're talking about these bases. So what we're talking about doing is coming back. See, he's like a cream color. So I'm gonna come back through here. I'm gonna paint this part of the base the color of the player piece. There we go. Get on there. Teaching myself how to do this while look through this camera setup has been very interesting. I feel like I'm getting better at it. I got to remember to treat it more like a crosshair and put the piece like right in the middle. I think that's what's fun about this channel starting out way down here on the bottom. Like we're gonna learn and grow and get better together as a little community on this page is my hope. All right, well there's one coat. We'll come back. We'll let that dry. Put it down another coat. But I think this is gonna look really cool. And then we'll drop like some white ink inside the little words, because there's little words. It's their names. I don't know if you can actually see that or not, but there you go. You see it there. So it can drop an ink down in there, and the ink will settle into the hole, and it'll look really clean. And then we can actually have several different color inks, and so we may do that when we come back from break. I'll show you how I do that. But right now we're just gonna kind of throw these guys together. And this guy is green. Let's go ahead and make some of that. This sap green in there. Or olive. It's not sap. It's sap in another brand. It's olive in this brand. Try to keep all that right for you guys. Ready? Oh, ready. Almost looks more blue with that black underneath right now. But that's our first coat anyway. We'll definitely come back and fix it. We're going to want to get up on these edges too, but I kind of just want to see what it's going to look like if we get it all done up. And Yingo's is easy. He's flipping brown. Homie got brown on brown on brown on brown on brown. They did my guy dirty. Like literally. Like he's like dirty and brown. He didn't get any cool, like, I guess the coolest part about Inigo Montoya's character is him as a person. It's definitely not his costume. And there's a little hair I'm trying to chase down. There it is. Probably cat hair. Or a me hair. Putting this on there is hard. You can't hardly tell where the black is and the burnt umber is. That's not burnt umber. That's like, who knows? Yeah, that's going to be fun. So we'll paint these rounds, the bottom parts of them, we'll paint in their player color. And then we'll do we'll sink those pieces in, or sink that ink in. That's going to look really nice. I'll be right happy with that. Yeah. Okay, so we got that done. Well, I guess we could probably just probably drop this ink in here right now. Let's do it right now. We got time. So this is a white ink. It is Bombay White Indian ink by Dr. P.H. Martins. You can use this ink for a bunch of different things. That's why I like it. And inks are fun. They're a little bit more glossy, and their viscosity is different. So they like, it will dip down inside a hole for you. Like it's gonna go find the holes. So that's why it's going to work well for this. And we're just going to kind of dab it in the holes. Try to let it fill it up as best as possible. There we go. You can see how much thinner that is than regular paint. That just drops right down in these holes. And then when it dries, it'll be thinner too, so it doesn't obscure my details. And then we'll just paint right over the top of it to help us get the effects right. There we go. We might be able to, if we get to it fast enough, come by with our towel. Wipe that out just a little bit. Nope. Too violent, chef, too violent. I definitely just put too much pressure on it, guys. So that's why I usually just paint over it instead of trying to do that. I have like gorilla hands. So it always sucks for me. Make sure I got all this stuff done. I want to get all these edges. And I don't really have a white piece, so I'm going to leave his white, I think. Because he's yellow, purple, brown, red, green, and black. So I think we'll leave physics white. I really am going to go for it here. I'm really going to let that ink get in there real good. Again, I'm going to come back later with black over top of that. And it'll all... Well, not all the letters. We're going to do that on the base. Just so that's clear, because we don't want to do that. We don't do that. And once that dries in there, it's going to be really good. It'll look as good on camera as it's going to look in person. All right, just a few minutes left. Maybe we can get to. Maybe I can show it to you if we get real lucky. This stuff dries pretty quick too. Just trying to, yeah, it's not quite dry in there yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up, and I'm going to let it dry. And then we'll come back next week. When we come back, we'll get in there and we'll get over the tops of the rest of the letter and bring that out, and it'll look really white. It's going to look great. Okay, so that's about that for today. I gotta go. I gotta go get my breaks done. I'm gonna do these things in about an hour at a time. I work on other projects while I'm not, when I'm not, it's not part of the channel. When I'm not doing channel stuff. But we do have a poll. It's gonna be open until Monday of next week when we come back, and then I'll figure out what we're gonna do from there. That poll is for the different things we can do next time. The next project we can do. Space bugs or little dragon men. So definitely do that. Thanks for the folks that came by. I think we had like 7, 8 people here today. Super, super cool. And that's exciting. I really appreciate all the support. It's really cool. Now that this is growing and kind of moving, I'm really starting to enjoy it. And that's you guys. So it makes it feel better when I know there's more people watching than like just me and Kristen. So anybody who enjoys this, definitely give us a like, a thumbs up, a share, all those sort of things. It definitely helps the channel grow and move into new platforms and new areas and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time over here at Pieces Pat Paints. And I guess that's it. Have a great day. Bye.